With the Canadian federal election just days away, politics is the hot topic at kitchen tables and group chats and even at the office. But how do you keep our conversations respectful when opinions are so divided? Joining us today is etiquette expert Blais Comeau to remind us it is possible to stay engaged and polite. Good morning.
Good morning, Rosie.
Yeah, it can get heated, you know, when the topic of politics comes up. So we're here to talk about how we can keep our cool and remain cordial and polite, okay?
That's
You've
right.
got some
That's our
tips for us.
mission.
Okay, that's the mission. Okay, so how to talk politics. All right, we've got a few scenarios here. At work, the enthusiastic colleague. This is interesting because I would, you might want to sort of reserve your opinions for yourself. But if you've got an enthusiastic colleague who's sharing their opinions, what do you do? So I think we have a quote here.
Well, we have some tips.
Okay.
And, your colleague could say something like, you know what, I'm so excited. I just gave money to the Poiliev campaign. And so our tip here is going to be to find a comment that's neutral, yet positive, and we're going to find that exit to get back to work.
I love that. Okay.
So it could sound something like, it could be like, oh, you know what? I love how everybody is motivated this year, and quite engaged in the campaign. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing the results, but you'll have to excuse me, I have a meeting coming up.
Oh, I love that. I do love that. So don't assume everyone shares your views. Stick to observations. Remain neutral
That's
if you
right.
can. Especially, you're at work, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
At work, and it could happen elsewhere, as we're going to see in our scenarios.
Okay, love that. Okay. Wow, a debate gets heated. You're at work.
Yes.
What do you do?
And here you may have to be the voice of reason. Like one colleague says one thing about a leader or a party, and then a colleague says something about another one. And you could come in and say, I love how the team is so diverse. And I guess that's why we're so good at brainstorming, like what we're going to do this afternoon. So what I propose is that we put a pause on politics and we keep diversity to brainstorming sessions.
I like that because you're really dictating here. You got to take control if you feel like it's getting out of hand here.
Yeah. You have to be the peacemaker
and direct.
And direct. Remind them as well that diversity is part of our workplaces, and it's what creates that beautiful collaboration synergy.
Okay, next up, ooh boy, family dinner. Okay, the intergenerational debate.
Yes.
No doubt there's going to be differences of opinions.
Of course,
okay?
Of course. And that's life. Life is about change. And it probably happened in some of the households in Ottawa this past weekend, and probably will happen again this weekend as barbecues start to come up, right? So what you want to say, you want to be able to recognize again the diversity. I love how we all have different views. So what I'm curious about here is, what would you do if you were Prime Minister tomorrow? What's one thing you would put into action, no matter what party? No matter what side you're on. So you're opening up the conversation, making it a discussion, and you're going to be able to hear what Grandpa has to say and also what our teenagers have to say.
I really like this redirecting of the energy. That's exactly what you just did there.
Yes,
right?
and open-ended, right?
Yeah.
Everyone can participate, and let's remove the alliances.
There you go. I love that. Okay, next up, community event. You got a curious neighbor, and you can tell they're fishing. They're fishing. They want to. They want to know.
Rosie,
they want to know.
Rosie.
Exactly. What do you do there?
What do you do there? And you can say, I love how we can all have our own values, and we can vote based upon our values. And it's a luxury to be able to vote. And based upon the results of the advanced polling, that's what everybody is doing right now. So I can't wait to see the results. So you highlight that we have the privilege of voting and that it's a personal choice. And Rosie, you can always say something like, my parents told me never to talk about politics. And I think that this time around, I have to listen to my parents, so I will.
You bring a little bit of charm and a bit of humor into that conversation. You diffuse what could be building a little bit of tension. You say, Mama told me, just keep it neutral. Anyway,
Yes.
I really like that as
Yes.
well. And I find that you can kind of feel, you can kind of sense that there's, a political talk that's about to evolve here. And then you can just be aware of that heading into this encounter with a neighbor, let's
Yes,
say.
and the consequences of that, there could be a big divide following that. So let's keep it neutral.
Let's keep it neutral. That is true. One last one here, online group chat. What do you do there?
Yeah, we've talked about this, you and I,
Yeah.
Rosie, on this show, and we've talked about the 2 fridge test. And you have to remember that whatever you put online could be there forever.
Ooh, this is good.
Yes.
It's true.
So you may want to be the peace moderator and say, you know what, guys, I want to remind everybody that we're diverse here and that we want to keep it respectful. Like, this is an online forum for everyone. Even on family chats, this could also happen. So you want to remind everybody that you can have your opinion, but you want to keep it respectful.
What about this? You talk about online tone, which is easy to misread. You might want to say something, but
Yes.
the way it's written may, and the way the person reads it, they may not get the full gist of what you're trying to say.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That reminder is so important. And which is why doing the 2 fridge test, like, take a pause and read at it. Put it on the fridge at home where grandpa can see it, your niece can see it, and then put it on the fridge at the office. Would you put it there? Could the tone be misinterpreted? Probably, so don't say it.
There you
It
go.
could be perceived as non-respectful.
I love that. Talking politics here with Julie
slippery.
Blais Comeau, remaining just calm and polite. Really?
Yeah,
it's
and
important.
in the end, you can say, let's put a pause on politics. So tell me, what are your summer plans?
Oh, I like that. Etiquette expert Julie Blais Comeau, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate all of your expertise surrounding the proper way to diffuse any kind of hot political debates at home.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Always enjoyable.
All right.